Ladies and gentlemen, nerds and neckbeards, welcome to another spinned-off episode of...
Spinning ourselves off of Westworld Wheneverly. Hey, Dave.
Yeah. What's up, Tana?
Oh my god, this episode was so freaking good.
You know what? It's really, it's
so
really
good.
interesting because every episode of Westworld is just...
They're building a whole thing. And you know what I love? There's no book for me to be like referencing back and expecting. Like it's all, and they're giving me so many literary references, right? Like there's already been all that Shakespeare stuff.
Yeah.
And then you and I brought in the, F. Scott Fitzgerald stuff last week. You know, like and in this week's episode, there's even more literary stuff.
What I want to know is, since there's no book for you to like go back and like study, how do you watch? Because I know, I know back in the past, like you'll sit at your artist table, your easel, you'll do a little painting, you'll do a little working, a little penmanship, a little lining while watching. And this is one of those shows that you can't do that. You have to pay attention, every single word, every single action, every hand movement, every step.
The subtlety, what people are looking at in the scene. So, no, I sit down and I fucking watch the show. And I take notes. Because we're doing our podcast, I have to see, I'm mostly taking notes of, like, the scene changes, like who's in what scene next, to sort of see how they've cut up the episode. But I am all attention. I'm not, like, really playing around on my phone or anything. Like, I show up for this show. And it's so good.
It's really good.
It's so good. Visually, it's stunning. The literary stuff that they're bringing in is so good. What do you know what the name of the episode is tonight?
It's like Kama Sutra or Composta Sauce, something like that.
So
it's funny because I just watched it.
Not Karma Sutra, although there was a lot of fucking in this.
Maybe that's why I was thinking this. There was
some like
there was.
That was like a Roman sex party, like debauchery
in like Midwest. But wait, wait,
what?
We are terrible at this. Okay, before we get started, we need to talk about what we're drinking.
Yes. Okay. Cheers.
Cheers.
It ties in with the name of the episode, so we were kind of getting there.
Oh, okay.
So the name of the episode is not Karma Sutra; it is Contrapasso.
Contrapasso.
The Contrapasso. Do you know what Contrapasso means?
Well, contra or con is like a Spanish for with, right?
Yes,
so,
yes.
Contrapasso would be with my posse or with my pasta.
With my pasta. I think that really unlocks the hidden meaning of the episode.
That's what I thought.
Is with my pasta.
With my pasta.
Think Italian and think Dante's Inferno. Again with the literary stuff. Any ideas? Hell? Well, sort of, yes. So Dante's Inferno is a masterful piece of literature on hell and the many circles of hell, 9 circles of hell. And Contrapasso is Italian for counter step or counter pace. And it's the idea, Dave, that the sins you have on earth, the sins that you commit here will be paid for equally in hell. And so as wrong and sinful and evil as you are on this earth.
Cost?
I don't know, man. But like, there's different levels of hell. So like, however
a blowjob's
bad,
like $25, and like a
and
hand
then
job
we can get into what is it,
$15.
tithing, where you could just like pay off your sins in advance if you're super wealthy and still get into heaven.
Yeah, exactly.
Out of our
we
scope
could talk about
here.
like altered carbon, and you could be a meth and then end up in the sky. But, but let's circle back to the drink.
Yep. So
heaven and hell.
Heaven and hell. The word in English, contrapasso, means unaccountable. Or
unaccountable.
Yeah, it's the concept that the punishment for an individual soul in hell corresponds to the sin that you committed on earth. And so I wanted to make a drink that tasted earthy, but had that hellfire in it.
Okay.
All right.
So that's where this kind of cinnamon flavor comes from? All right.
So we've got the earthy, it's a tea, an iced tea based drink, unsweetened.
Disgusting.
It's important that you suffer. If we're going to talk about hell, it's important that you suffer.
My Arnold Palmer ratio is like 70%, 30%, maybe even 80-20 in the lemonade favor.
You just drink lemonade. Just boozy lemonade is what you want.
Where's the Mike's Hard when you need it?
So we've got an unsweetened iced tea, a black iced tea, and into that we put the, what is this, Jim Beam Fire whiskey, which is a cinnamon whiskey. So if you've got Fireball, you could use that as well. I happen to have this. And then I smoothed it out with some of your wild turkey bourbon.
Yes.
And do it in equal parts, because equal part heaven or hell to what you did on earth. So.
It's got to be equal.
Oh, and what did we garnish them with? Because we're fancy as fuck.
With a sprig of mint. But that's not the fancy part.
What is, Dave?
The fancy part of these little bourbon gummy bears that you have.
Look at how cute they are. We have these little like golden gummies that were made like with real bourbon that Kirsten got for me. They're called
taste like bourbon?
Yeah, they're called bourbon bears. They're like a little, they're a little bourbony. But it's not, I
wonder if you have to be 21 to buy them.
You might have to be. But I don't think they're going to get you loaded. But these would be good to make rummy bears out of or whiskey bears out of.
They have like a little vanilla flavor. They're actually really good.
It's almost like caramel.
Yeah.
Kind of nice, right?
Yeah, they're really good.
Yeah, so I brought over bourbon gummy bears, so if you want to play along at home.
I was not expecting that. I was expecting like a wood oak kind of flavor, but they were like
sweet.
They were really sweet and delicious.
Yeah. Cheers, buddy. This drink looks like...
Cheers to the woman in the white shoes.
Great. Fucking great. Take us away, David.
So we open up this episode, ladies and gentlemen. Nerds and neckbeards, of course. Can't forget about you guys. We open up this episode, and if I'm correct, we see Ford sitting in the basement or in his kind of home bar livestock area.
Yeah.
And he's talking to that bartender again. And what does he say? He says he's telling him a story, or
you got any stories, friend?
And the bartender says, "Got any stories, friend?" And Ford goes on this tangent about his father and about creating this world, and every now and again,
retired greyhounds.
Yeah, that's right. He says we got a puppy with a greyhound, and my dad warned us, and don't ever let it off the leash. And my brother let it go, and it saw a cat, and it took off, and it finally got the cat, and it made this. He made this really interesting point.
Yep.
Right, that he's like, this greyhound caught this rabbit and killed it.
Yeah.
But then had no idea what to do because its entire life
it
had been chasing this pelt.
Yes.
And never got it. And finally it did, and it had no idea what to do.
And you're left with this sense of the horror, right? Like it was a cat, and like the blood, like this must have been a horrible scene for these kids to view, and also for the dog to be sort of experiencing. At some point you're just a dog, but Ford says of this scene that watching that greyhound run do what it was built to do
was the most beautiful thing he's ever seen.
And I mean, Anthony Hopkins is a national treasure. This guy brought the fire to this episode.
Oh, man.
I mean, the subtlety of his acting, the complexity of his acting. Later on, we're going to talk about the scene that he's in with Dolores and the scenes that he's in with Man in Black. And he's just like...
Speaking of the Man in Black...
complicated, complex, amazing actor.
So I think he's actually correlating this story with the Man in Black.
Go on. Speak on, good sir.
So we don't find out till later in the episode that he actually is, quote unquote, in my opinion, watching the Man in Black. Right. Definitely with the scene with his little minion boy.
Yes.
Right. Shows up.
Oh, that's right. Okay, let's put a little flag in that because I
flag that for when we talk about that scene.
Yep. Because I need to know what you think of that boy. Next,
we know because he sits down. He's waiting for the Man in Black in the town, so he knows the Man in Black is coming. Right.
Right.
This is not a coincidence that he's just happened to be in this bar. Right. Playing the piano, right? He knows this guy is coming. But so we'll talk about that when that scene comes. But if you tie all of that together with the beginning, he makes a couple comments in the bar about how I'm not one to stop a journey of self-discovery.
Yeah.
And what are you really looking for? What are you looking for? And this guy has been spending his entire life, 34 years, chasing this level of the game. He's chasing this dream. Just like that greyhound.
just like, and it works on so many levels. It also works with Dolores. It also works with Teddy. It also works with Maeve, of course. Like there is, so in our favorite series, Game of Thrones, they do prologue chapters. So if you remember in Dance with Dragons, the opening prologue chapter is from the point of view of Varamir Sixskins. Yeah. This is, fast forward, I think, a few minutes if you don't want to be spoiled on Game of Thrones. But if you listen to us, you're probably already spoiled on Game of Thrones. You're already watching a show on HBO, so like probably you've seen that show. So, but anyway, so some spoilers are going to come up. But the point of a prologue in a story, right, in a book, is to explain something that happens later in the book, like the theme.
It's foreshadowing. I mean, it's straight up a literary ideal.
And so maybe what they're doing in this show...
Even my dumbass engineer who is not an English major knows what foreshadowing is, Tana. Gosh. Okay, continue.
So Varamir gives us insight into warging in this particular case. And in the final scene of Dance with Dragons, or one of the final scenes, Jon Snow dies. And his last words are, ghost. And we believe that he is warging, right, into Ghost. We don't know what's going to happen next. No one really knows what's going to happen next.
Put those over there so I don't need any more. They look like they were expensive too, so I don't want to eat them all.
They're not. So it looks like they're expensive. Kirsten paid $1 for these. Okay. So it was
I don't
at
feel
like...
bad that I ate like 5 of them.
It was at anyway. So but so we learn we learn things about what it's like when you die as a warg because George gave us that in the prologue. What is this show telling us? Right? Like they're setting up in the same way.
Yes.
This is our prologue. It's the opening scene. And it is Ford sitting talking to his old friend, the like rickety robot bartender. Right?
I've seen a few showdowns in my day.
Yeah. And he's like, I'll drink to the woman in the white shoes. What is that?
The end is the best. Because the end of that scene, he goes, well, boy, that was a humdinger of a story. Let's drink to the woman in the white shoes.
And I just
like, what?
Yeah. And Ford is like, and over his shoulder, you can see all the robots stacked up, right? Yep. Like they're reminding us that there's a basement filled with robots like Abernathy who are maybe a little too evolved, perhaps, or like, there's that subterranean horror.
Take them out of rotation or done something with them.
Yeah. So,
which, by the way, that one line has stuck with me so much that besides the fact that I keep saying it, the entire episode, I was looking for someone wearing white shoes. God damn it,
Dave! And
I couldn't stop.
Was there any woman in white shoes?
Well, what I thought was really annoying was that in every single scene that Dolores is in, up until she changes her outfit, you cannot see her shoes.
God damn it!
At all. Like,
and Dolores,
she's walking in the dark. Her dress is covering her shoes.
God damn it!
They show you from the side, from the back, every angle. You can't see her shoes, and I'm just like,
you want it to be Dolores. You want Dolores to be the woman in the white in the white shoes. Cheers, buddy.
I mean, I think. We learned that Dolores is one of the original. Right, we learned in a previous episode that she's one of the original hosts.
Yeah.
So if she's one of the original hosts, then this bartender guy has to be one of the original hosts. Maybe they were in a storyline together or something.
Right. Dave, I love it. I love it. We transition from that scene to William, Logan, Dolores looking at the town of Paraiah. Okay. I thought I heard you talking to someone, William says to Dolores. Like,
I was dreaming.
Yeah, and we know that this is the original timeline, the very first time. This is right after, what is his name? Albert? No, Arnold. Arnold or Albert? Arnold dies. She kills him, right? Like, in this storyline, this must be, the park is freshly open, and, and she's the one that fucking killed him. So she's glitching out.
I don't know if it's happened yet, though.
Okay.
Based on what we kind of know.
Okay, well, put a pin in that. Yeah. Stump Dave. Question 2.
Question 2.
Boop. Stumping Dave.
Some stay dry and others. We have an audio clip that
by Connor, who's our super fan.
We always forget to play it. and I need to figure out how to do
we'll figure it out.
Setup. Yeah.
We've only been podcasting for several years.
Yeah. I got a new mixer, and I haven't quite figured out all the ins and outs of it yet, and I really don't want to do any editing.
Yeah.
So
totally understandable.
Yeah. But,
David,
okay.
What does Paraiah mean?
Ooh. You see, I know this, but I also don't know it at the same time. Paraiah, I think, usually means like outcast. Like you're a social pariah. You say you're not really on board with everything. You're kind of
Are you reading this off a phone somewhere?
And,
like, did you just Alexa this shit? Like,
no,
that's exactly the definition.
Yeah. Well, I'm kind of a big deal,
So you backed your way into a point.
I backed my way into a point. That's right. I used what I call circumlocution and context to get to the right answer.
An outcast. Paraiah is an outcast, and so the town that they're going to is outcast.
Yeah.
Right? So please go on. So it's William and Logan and Dolores. They're looking at Paraiah. And then this is when Logan tells William the backstory. So Albert did die in the park. Or Alfred? Nope.
Arnold.
Arnold died in the park. And Logan says to William, yeah, and they erased everything. There's not even a picture of him, which only sticks out to me now that I know. And so he says in this scene, looking at William, who he keeps calling Billy, that they've got lawyers all over the place. They're going to buy stock in this. They're hemorrhaging money to keep it like this.
Right. He says, they must be hemorrhaging money, which is why we might buy them out. And then he says, William says, you must have a team of lawyers all over this. And he goes, yeah, but they haven't uncovered any dirt.
And so he's like, we're still going to buy in. Now, whoever made this place, this is the comment. They're walking through the town, and there's all the people in like the ghost face or like, skull faces.
Like Day of the Dead in Mexico.
Yeah. And they
do keep mentioning south of the border. But
and there's a ton, like the way that you enter the town of Paraiah is through a what is it? A graveyard,
valley?
Valley of crosses in the ground, going off and off into the distance, just graves. You're with these three characters standing in this huge graveyard, as it sort of goes off into the distance, and there's the town. Then they're in the town. There's all this religious imagery.
Yeah.
There's the sort of Christian crosses, but they have the circle on them.
Yep.
I don't know if those have a specific name, but then there's also like, people are fucking in a stagecoach. There's like fucking out in the street. People are in gold paint.
Yeah.
People are in full
Lots
body.
of merkins being worn.
Yeah. There's the evil dudes like, and Logan is sort of narrating this part for us, and he's saying how expensive it is to keep it open, that somebody died in here and that they covered it up, one of the partners, or like he's giving us all that information, but when the comment, whoever made this place doesn't think much of people, is made.
William says that, yeah.
Yeah, and he's looking around, he's kind of horrified. Dolores' eye twitches. And it looks like, this is why I have to watch it instead of drawing while I'm watching it. Her eye, she does that eye twitch that Abernathy had. And if this happened right after she killed her creator, and his voice is in her head, ringing loud, she's having that glitch. She is, her consciousness is being bootstrapped, right?
Yeah.
And so we see her character over the course of this episode really change.
Yes.
From, she starts glitching out, but then to the point where she actually changes costume, is able to fire a gun, transitions. She becomes aware.
What a great scene where they go through all the stealing of the nitroglycerin and then getting double crossed by El Lazo, who we find out is Lawrence, which is awesome because as soon as Lawrence dies,
so good.
The showrunners are doing great. This Man in Black kills Lawrence.
That's my note.
And then the next scene is Lawrence waking up as El Lazo, and you're just like,
shit, that's not my note.
That's not your note?
My note was, okay, so I think it's right here.
That Man in Black steals Lawrence's blood and puts it in fucking Teddy.
I thought what they were doing, which is brilliant. So that's the next scene, is Lawrence, the Man in Black, and Teddy is about to die. They talk about fate. And then the Man in Black says, don't insult me, Lawrence. Because he's like, if do you believe in fate? And he's like, no, if fate was a woman or whatever, I'd try to kick in her teeth. She ain't never done nothing for me. And he's like, Lawrence, don't insult me. And the Man in Black is 100% on a mission here. he's reliving his earliest foray into the park, right? So since we know that William and the Man in Black are the same person.
Yes.
He is going back to Paraiah. Like, he is following the maze he was following the first time he ever met Dolores.
But he didn't know it.
And he didn't know it.
Right.
And so he spent 30 years or whatever it is learning every other part of the park and owning all of it and only feeling real inside the park. Mm-hmm. And now he has returned to where he began to finish the first thing.
To head back there.
Right. Yeah. There isn't a man alive who'd talk to me the way that you do, Lawrence. Or as another friend of mine says, there's a path for everyone. He's referencing Dolores.
Absolutely referencing Dolores.
And so just great dialogue throughout. And then this is where the little mini Ford shows up.
Right.
The little kid with the pocket watch.
Yep.
And he sends him off to get water, right?
Yep.
And he's like, well, you had me fill up my bag with water, so I don't know why you just had that kid run away. He's like, so he doesn't
dumps
have to...
the water out. Dumps the water out.
There's a path for everyone, Lawrence.
Hangs him up, drains his blood into what we think is the bag.
Yes. So that he can keep Teddy going a little longer. He says something about, like, I thought your path was going to be with me to the end, but apparently it's only Teddy's.
It's only to save Teddy.
Your point is to save Teddy's life.
He makes comments to Teddy the whole time, too.
So
like,
funny.
All you needed was a couple gallons of Lawrence.
So he sacrifices Lawrence to save Teddy, which is so cold. Do you get any biblical references? Trying to think of this in terms of what they're doing with the Bible or with gods walking among men.
I'm Jewish. I don't really know too much.
I'm going Old Testament.
Stuff.
I'm going Old Testament on this, my friend.
I mean, I was gonna say Easter because it just happened, and Teddy was dead, and then like 3 days later he's alive again.
Oh, so he's our Jesus figure.
Maybe Teddy's our
That's
Jesus
figure.
figure.
That's not very Jewish of you. Is it Emmanuel? Is that your Jesus that the Christians stole? Anyway,
who the fuck is Emmanuel?
Who's
El Manuel?
Yeah.
Who's Manuel?
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, well, I thought perhaps what we have here, right, if Man in Black is the father figure and he's got his two sons, right, it could be Jacob and Esau. Okay, right? Like it could be, but instead of one of the brothers.
I don't really see that one.
What about Isaac on the mountain, right? Like slaughtering one child as a sacrifice. Okay, not as a blood sacrifice. I think maybe I'm reaching here. You know what?
I think you're
Your
reaching.
face is telling me this might be a bit of a reach.
I think you need to go back and read a little bit more. I'm not buying into that one a little bit too much there.
Well, all right. From here, we pop over visually to the chop shop with Felix and the shitty butcher.
That's right.
And
Felix and the asshole.
Yeah, Felix and the asshole. Oh, I love it. And they're working on Maud.
They're working on working on her again.
Maeve. Not Maud. Maeve.
They're modding Maeve.
They're modding Maeve.
Well, they're working on her, and they're like, oh man, this scar, it looks like they were like looking for something, right? This is where she cut herself open to find the bullet. And he's like, oh, don't be an idiot. Just fucking fix her up. And he's like, I won, bitch. I did my side faster than you could do your side, asshole guy, right?
Yep.
Then asshole guy's like, I'm going to go to lunch. And
I'm going to go to lunch, and I'm going to go fuck a corpse. Did you catch that?
No.
He said, I have a redhead waiting for me.
In the VR tank.
What's the VR tank?
VR is virtual reality. Okay. And tank obviously means some sort of holding tank. Okay.
I assumed he was doing what the other necro douche was doing.
Yeah, maybe.
That this is like what the idiots in the chop shop do.
I don't think so. I think they have a VR tank that, they can go into, and that's the correct way to pleasure themselves instead of
Jovi humping the bodies.
A body.
Oh my goodness.
And so he goes to do that.
Yeah.
But then the other guy, Felix.
Yep. Yeah. What does he do?
He pulls out a robot bird. And he starts like coding it. He starts trying to be behavior, right?
Yeah. We don't know it at the time, but he like tries to bring the bird back to life. Right. There's a little dead bird, and it's a secret. He keeps it in the top of the locker and takes it out, and he like taps some buttons, and he's trying some stuff, and the bird is okay a little bit, but still kind of fucked up.
Something's fucked up, and
and it can't really fly, and then it's like freaking out or whatever.
And then asshole comes back.
No, I think it just stops. I think he doesn't make it work. Does the asshole come back in
Asshole
that scene?
comes back and goes, what the fuck, man? This is what you're doing? You fucking stole a bird and a behavior tablet?
Yes.
Blah, blah, blah. What, you think you're going to just train yourself to become behavior and then get a promotion? You're never going to be behavior. You're never going to be a coder. You're a fucking butcher.
Yeah, it happens. That happens a little bit later, but yeah, we can always talk about them at the same time. The dead bird stolen. You stole a fucking behavior tablet?
Yeah.
And he's like, corporate, what is it? It's like,
misappropriation of corporate funds.
You're going to get fired.
Yep.
And, and so you're like, oh, I understand why he was being so secretive about it. I understand. And so this guy, wants to be more than what he is, right? And that's our introduction to Felix, who becomes like a really solid dude. Yeah. Like he's like one of the only redeemable humans in the whole.
Except he really fucks up big time, which we learn later on.
I don't remember it. Don't spoil it for me.
I won't spoil it. At the end of the episode, Maeve wakes up with the little bird on his
it's
on
so
her
fucking
head,
good.
and he goes, "Hi, Felix. We're gonna have a little chat."
It's time that you and I had a little chat. So, hello, Felix. It's time you and I had a little chat. And it's so good. He finally fixes the bird, and the bird's flying around, and Felix is like totally feeling it and like looking at the bird. And the whole time we've been waiting for Maeve to wake the fuck up.
Yep.
And then there she is sitting up like a queen, looking gorgeous with the little bird on her finger.
Yep, you were turned on a little bit. Her tits are not
bad. Oh my God. I mean, everything about that woman has me it's just I am into her story. But so if that's the last scene, what do you think it means for the Greyhound, right? Like if the Greyhound scene means that they catch the bird, the first time Maeve was there, she freaked the fuck out.
That's right.
She's back there. She figured it out. She unlocked the secret.
Yeah.
And the episode ends with the little fucking bird on her fingertip. And so like, is she the Greyhound that caught the cat and now is like, I don't know, king of the fucking world?
Yeah, I don't know. I think she's confused, but I think she's about to go crazy. I mean, she's about to go nuts, and we'll find that out later in another episode. I kind of remember her storyline a little bit, so I don't want to spoil it for you.
Don't spoil it for me.
Yeah.
I remember stuff, but I don't remember all of it. I know that Hector, it plays a part, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. Teddy and the Man in Black.
Teddy and the Man in Black.
So he's got a couple pints of Lawrence in him now. And he's so the Man in Black is telling Teddy, your humanity is cost effective.
Yeah.
You guys used to be beautiful. I cracked one of you open 30 years ago. It was gorgeous.
Yeah.
Now you're just like us, he says. Yep. You're just flesh and bone. You're
flesh and blood. You're manufactured.
Yep. And Teddy looks like hell.
Teddy looks like he's going to die.
Uh-huh.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And I think this is critical because they walk themselves, somewhere to some bar.
Yep.
And he sits down and he tells the lady like no company or something like that. He says, she says, you boys look mighty tired. I've got some working girls or something that could fill them mouths or make you feel better. Or
they're a little
like
tired right now, but I could wake them for you. And he says, just whiskey. But before we get there, Teddy's about to die. And so Man in Black gets down like on his level, and he was like, hey, listen, I think that, whatever, you were spared for a reason. After the outlaws that did this to you got done with you,
they took Dolores.
They went to a nearby, farmer's house, and they stole a daughter, some woman named Dolores.
Yeah.
And Teddy's like, or, maybe he says the word Dolores, and Teddy wakes up and is like, let's go right now. And so Man in Black says, there it is, the magic word.
Yeah.
And you know what it got me thinking about?
What?
Old Testament.
Oh.
There's a word for everything, right? Adam names all the animals, all the plants, and when he named them, they were real. Like that's what they were when he named rock and tree and all the shit. And that's true in this world as well. We see Ford come in like the very next scene, and he commands everything with a word, right? Yes. Like we talked, what was the word last week? Delos or some shit.
Yeah.
And he the magic word. There it is, Teddy. The magic word to get you to do anything. It's Dolores. Yep. Right? And so in maybe not small ways, in big ways, the Man in Black knows how this world fucking works.
Yes, absolutely.
And he's working it.
Yeah. Well, it's great because he sits down and Ford comes over to him, and he at first he says, I said no company, and then he looks up and he's like, oh. Look who's Teddy. Look who's come to grace us with his presence.
You are in the company. What a rare treat, Robert. Is what he says to him. Yep. He calls him by his first name,
Robert. Yeah.
There's so many paths, so many choices.
Well, there's a lot of great conversation that goes on there, and especially I think one really important pivotal moment, which is they're talking about internals and something like that, and Man in Black pulls out his knife like to Robert and says, "What if I just cut you open, got you right here?"
That's right.
And Teddy immediately springs to life, grabs the knife, and jams it into the table.
Yes.
And Man in Black goes, "Oh, almost dead, but I see you're still loyal," or something along those lines.
And he was like, "Your little pet is still loyal." He calls him his pet. Yeah. And Teddy like grabbed the fucking thing by the blade, and put it in the table. What an awesome moment. And so like, is the whole world designed to protect Ford? Do you think?
I think Ford is God. He commands everything, right? You don't see Teddy. He doesn't comment. He doesn't talk. And even when
it's like he doesn't know he did it.
He doesn't know he did it. He was under Ford's control. He releases his hand. He kind of looks at it for a second.
Why the fuck would I do that?
Yeah, and then just sits there kind of quietly. Yeah. And then they have a conversation, and Ford and the Man in Black's like, "So you're here to stop me or something, to prevent me what your partner did 34 years ago or something along those lines?" And Ford goes, "Oh, on the contrary, I would never stop a journey of self-discovery."
Yes, this is the second. So I'm looking at my notes trying to find where this scene actually happens, and it's the second to last scene of the entire episode. And so like we're kind of jumping ahead a little bit, but we jump forward and back. So Teddy is. So I wanted to say that Teddy is sitting at the table with his fucking gods. Yeah. Right. Last time I tried to make this connection between the Man in Black being sort of like a Greek god, right? Because he's not quite Ford. Right, but he still knows all the rules of the game. Yeah. He talks to Lawrence in ways that, like, the biblical angels would talk to humans, or like, and they seem to have these supernatural powers. And so Teddy, right, like, try to experience this thing from Teddy's perspective at the table. He can't understand half the imagine the babbling of this, to the human, to the Teddy that's sitting at the table listening to these guys with no understanding,
no idea what's going on,
and no context. And so the Man in Black sort of reveals himself here, right? And Ford, from last time when he was sitting with Teresa, Catherine at the table, he says, "We know everything about our employees, as we know everything about our guests." Ford knows this guy.
Yeah.
He knows he knows how much of the park he owns. He knows how often he's been here. He knows the very first time he was here. What are you after, right? Like, this sit down, what is the point of it if you're Ford? Right, what is he trying to get out of the Man in Black?
I think he honestly he wants to know what his motivations are, right? And I think I don't want to say this is a way of intimidating him, because obviously,
like, I mean, he displays power here.
Yeah, I mean, in every scene that he's in, he displays power, right? But so I don't think it was only for that purpose. I think he was there, maybe also to egg him on.
Yeah,
because we learn that Ford is having issues with the corporation, and the board members are gonna throw him out soon or something, whatever. There's some internal struggles, right? And so maybe he's like, well, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna stir the pot a little bit and get this guy rolling.
Right.
And I think he's also there to help him. Yeah. Because he goes and he basically repairs Teddy.
I feel like
if you didn't notice that at the end, he like taps Teddy on the shoulder and pats him on the back and says something like, you feel better or something, I forget exactly what he says.
What does he say? I don't have it written down, but he sort of snaps his fingers and that crazy music plays really fast.
Yep. And then Teddy gets up and is like ready to go.
Yeah, and he taps, like he hits Teddy sort of over the heart. Yeah. And he says something, but I don't know what the fancy words were that he said. And boom, Teddy's like ready to go.
Yeah.
He is good to go. Yeah. But the Man in Black had said, so my two notes are a little spare, so I don't quite remember it, but maybe this will jog your memory. Ford says when he first sits down and he's listened to the Man in Black for a second, he says, "I admit, I lack the imagination to even conceive of a person like you. because the man in black said, a villain is what this place really needs.
Yeah.
Have you found me a worthy adversary, someone to stop me from reaching the center of the maze? And he's like, I admit I lack the imagination to even conceive of a person like you. That is a sick fuck you. That sounds like a super coded fuck you from Ford.
Absolutely.
I had the imagination to create the entire fucking world that you're in and all the loops that keep the people coming back. I can't even conceive of a person like you. What? And knowing like the depths of evil that this guy goes through, like the dark side that he does. But it seems like out in the real world, Mr. Man
he's a great person.
Is like, he has foundations and he saves lives. Your
foundation saved my sister.
Right.
I'm on fucking vacation.
I will cut your throat if you talk to me again. I'm on my fucking vacation. And so there's so many good fucking scenes in this show. But we have to hop back. Let's stick with Ford and let's hop back to when Ford sits down with Dolores.
Oh, man.
Right? And I mean, such a cute butt. I don't want to be that person, but it's such a cute butt. And she's just sitting there and they're talking, right? And Ford is asking her questions. So let me see. Let me find my correct note about
Ford
that.
So Ford is talking to Dolores.
Yep.
And he's asking. This is, I think, present time, by the way.
Oh, yes, it has to be because Ford is old, right? So it's not a younger Ford. It's Dolores and Ford, and he's looking for something, it seems to me. Yeah. Like, he's actually asking her stuff.
Yes.
But do you think... So when he is sitting there with her, and it's so close, so it pans from one side of her head, and we're looking at him, and then it goes behind the back of her head, and we see the other side of his face. Mm-hmm. You expect it to maybe be Alfred, nope, Albert, or somebody on the other side. Arnold on the other side. But it isn't. It stays Ford, but we're seeing two sides, right? Like, is this another good and evil thing? Is this
maybe.
Is it the confusion of what, who are we supposed to know is in charge of this scene?
Yeah.
So, yep.
It's a great thought.
But he's looking for something.
Yeah. And she's not giving him answers, and he grabs her hand.
Yeah, what was that?
And he squeezes her.
Ow, you're hurting me.
And she's about to say, ow, you're hurting, and he goes, analysis. Why are you going to say that, or something along those lines?
He
when
says,
when was your last contact with Arnold?
Yeah, that's what he says. And Arnold, he's
34 years, 42 days, and 12 hours ago, or some shit like that.
And he goes, Arnold said, do you recognize me? Do you remember me? No. Are we very old friends? That's not what I would call it. But he says,
my God, then he leaves.
Arnold said that Dolores would help him destroy this place. And Ford says, but you didn't, did you? Are we very old friends? Yeah. And he goes, what does he say? He's like, that's not what
I would call it.
That's not at all what I would call it. Like, something very cold. I mean, this guy fucked her. Like, he ruined her life. And Arnold was trying to set her free from what I remember. Yep. But it's so fucking good. And then she transitions. This is when she goes from dark to like green. There's like that transition scene. Yeah. And she says, he doesn't know. I didn't tell him anything. Is she talking to Bernard?
No,
is she talking to Arnold? But she can't be talking to Arnold because is she talking to her own mind? Arnold in her mind?
Yes, I think she's talking to her own mind, to her memory, to her dream. He even asked her. When was the last time you dreamed, or what did you dream about, or something along those lines.
And she doesn't give up anything. And so, but okay, if she was talking to Bernard, and she doesn't know that his name is Bernard, if she thinks it's still Arnold, right, and Arnold didn't die, and he looks the same, she's been talking with him.
Her analysis would have come back as like last week or something.
But
right?
what if she lied? So am I spinning myself out too much? Because Bernard, we know by the end, in the final reveal, has been the puppet of Ford the whole time. Right. And there's things that Arnold can't see and doesn't know, right? Like he can't see the door and all that. Right. So what if Arnold is spilling the beans, or Bernard is spilling the beans to Ford, and Ford is sitting down with Dolores and he's asking her, did you talk to Bernard? And she lies to him.
And he knows that she's conscious or something?
Is that why he has that, like, he walks away from that exchange shaken. He knows something he didn't know when he went in. Yeah. Is it That's a good Is it
that's possible?
That
that's
Dolores
huge.
can lie to him?
Yeah, that's huge.
And he would know if Bernard is telling him the truth.
Right.
And Bernard doesn't know that Bernard is telling him the truth. So keep an eye on this because I don't know. But
huge. That could be huge.
But I'm trying to understand why he looks so fucked up when he leaves that exchange.
Yeah. Wow.
Right? Because he's realizing that Dolores is fucking alive.
Tana.
What?
You just blew my mind.
Yeah, man. Cheers. This to the woman.
To the woman in the white shoes.
The woman in the white shoes. Yeah. Iced tea's growing on you, isn't it?
No, it's the bourbon.
I have another Stumping Dave for you when you're ready.
Okay, let's do this before. I want to talk about Paraiah some more and Dolores' transition.
I think
a little bit more.
Yep.
Because I really enjoyed that part. There's some nuances there that I really liked.
He says to her, okay, so this whole thing is Dolores and Ford. So my question for Stumping Dave is, Stumping Dave, what does the word Dolores mean?
The flowers.
Incorrect.
Damn it. Sleep. No, that's dormitory.
A good guess.
Dormitory.
Here's where I went. This is the rabbit hole. In Game of Thrones, there's a character named Dolores Ed Tollett.
Yeah, Dolores Ed.
Dolores and Dolores are very close words.
Yes.
It got me thinking, for a show that puts so much emphasis on its syllables.
On the right syllable.
Yep. Then why would they name their main character Dolores? I should look up the definition of Dolores. And it is related to the word Dolores. Do you have any guesses?
Dumb.
It means sorrow.
Sorrow.
Dolores, the name, is taken from a Spanish title for the Virgin Mary, Maria de los Dolores, Mary of the Sorrows. Dolores means feeling or expressing great sorrow or distress. So
does that not describe Dolores the entire show? The whole time she's freaking out.
Great sorrow or distress. Feeling or expressing great sorrow or distress is Dolores. They named her Expressing Sorrow.
I could never be a writer. These
It's
people
so
are so good.
I love this show. The more I scratch the surface, the more there is to see.
Yeah.
And I am fucking loving it. Thank you, HBO. This is such a good fucking show. Thank you, writers. Thank you, people that are making this come alive. It's so fucking good, and I love it. But he says, so Ford says to her, your mind is a walled garden. Do you remember me? The man I used to be? No? Do you remember him? Arnold. He's still in there. Under all those updates, perfectly preserved.
Yeah, somewhere.
Even death cannot touch him.
Yeah.
And like, I feel so getting meta. I sort of paused it there, and I was like, okay, I need to pull out. I need to see. I need to get the wide angle.
What are we pulling out of?
I need to get this wide angle on Dolores.
Yes.
And what I see, the sort of like meta text here is that there are two men struggling to create life through a host that they created whose name means sorrow. And both of them fight over this, what to do with this creation.
Yeah.
And life comes up through it after one of them dies, or is murdered by her, and the other one is
what
like...
they say, right? No. You can only pay for life, or you can only pay
death
for death.
Can only pay for life.
For life.
Man, there really is only one story in the world.
That's
only
right.
Death can pay for life.
That's right.
But so he is saying all this stuff. Your mind is a walled garden. Yeah. Two men attempting to create life through a vessel that they named sorrow. I was like, holy fuck, I can't wait to tell Dave that.
Yeah, that's
like
crazy.
That's some meta shit. And then he's saying about he has his own daddy issues. He's talking to Dolores, and he was like, my dad said, told me to be satisfied with my lot in life. He told me
that's when he's talking to Willie, right? Or
no, he's saying this.
Dolores?
He's saying it to Dolores. Okay. He told me that the world owed me nothing, so I built my own world. Yeah. Oh, it's so good, but like. He's got some daddy issues. We'll just put a little flag in that daddy issue. Was there something you wanted to say about the little boy in the short pants?
Just that's definitely like Ford's spy, right?
Oh, that he's like, yeah, Because there's like a house they're all in or something?
Yeah, we learned that later. We find that out. That's the door that Bernard can't see,
that's right. That's right.
So we do find that out later. So I think that's Ford's spy. He goes to see what the man in black is really up to.
He's checking on the man in black.
Yep. And
that makes sense. That's
how I think he ends up at that bar, because he knows where he is, what he's doing, and what he's about to do, right? And I think he's doing it without. I think he has that host, so that he can check on things and do things without corporate knowing, right? Because corporate has the tablets and the overview of the park,
but there's parts that they can't see, right? In a previous episode, G.I. Joe told us that there's parts they can't see. Now, corporate doesn't know about his house full of robots, right?
Sure not.
So maybe the kid is like a guard dog in the house area.
Maybe if you get too close,
there's got to be some sort of like protection. So maybe he's off grid enough that he's somewhere near the secret hideout. I don't know.
That's a good thought.
But I love your spy. I love the spy angle. We got to talk about Elizo. So Slim takes
him to Paraiah.
Yeah.
Says, Elazo's real busy, but he'll meet with you tomorrow or some shit like that.
Yeah.
And then we see Lawrence die.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And this next scene after Lawrence, we see Lawrence is dead.
Yeah.
Slim is like, Elazo will see you now.
Yeah.
And sitting down in the chair, raise his head. It's Lawrence.
It's Lawrence, and it's Lawrence looking fresh as a motherfucker. Is this the show saying, ding ding, they're not the same timeline?
I think it is, but I think it's the way they shoot it is to say, hey, look, because the man in black says to the young boy, someone will be around to get him shortly.
Right.
Someone will be around to collect him soon, or something like that.
See you the next time. So you're thinking that he would regenerate. Here I am. I'm like, oh, this is proof that it's not the same timeline.
Yeah, I don't think so.
But it isn't. You could still argue that it's not, because they get like turned around quickly and sent back out into a different story.
Which is why he wasn't ready to see them the night before.
Oh, right? Dave. And then the day did pass, and William says to Dolores, did you have a nice night? No, I had some dreams.
Exactly.
So it would have given them enough time. Here I was like, oh, okay. Now is when the audience on the first time through.
It's a great point to make, but they shoot it so well that it could be countered, right? So they do these like red herring things, right?
Damn it.
But what I think is awesome is that we learn the first time William, or the man in black, meets Lawrence. This is the first time.
Yeah.
And by the end of the whole Paraiah storyline, they're sitting down having a drink together in a train. They
are. Some coffin varnish or something is what he calls it. Yeah. Some swill. And they're drinking together.
He says, don't worry, it's not nitroglycerin or something along those lines. They're at this, Elazo, Lawrence, they're talking back and forth. Lawrence is like, fuck you guys, who the fuck, you can have some of the best girls in the brothel, but you ain't nothing to me, whatever, thanks for bringing Slim back.
Right.
And fucking what's his name? I always forget
Logan.
His name. Logan's like, nah man, we can help you, we want to be part of this, like let's go on a mission, I never done this shit before. He gets all excited, and then Elazo's like, nah, fuck you. And then Dolores
says the magic word.
Dolores like freaks out a little bit and then starts speaking. Do you have what she says? You written down?
I just says that I just wrote that Dolores says the magic word to Elizo Lawrence, and she unlocks the next fucking level.
Yeah.
Like she goes over and says something, and do you think that like she, like in the same way that later, 30 years later, she would infect Maeve? Was that her unlocking Lawrence?
I don't know if it was necessarily
Was that just part of the next path?
I think it's part of just the next path, and I think she kind of glitched out a little bit. She has a memory.
Yes.
She has something, like she's done this before. And she
But she's never done it before, Dave. The park just opened. This is the first time
she's got memories of fucking dead people in towns.
Of killing Albert.
Arnold, Jesus.
Of killing Alfred.
I think Lawrence
and Batman
was there too,
gets so mad about it.
I think Lawrence was there too, and his face triggers her.
So that's why she's remembering all this stuff. So you have to think. Earlier Ford said that Arnold thought that you were going to help him destroy the park, but you didn't do that, says Ford, did you?
Right.
And then we're with Lawrence, and then we're with Dolores.
Right.
And she's glitching out, and she's remembering how she almost ruined the park.
Right.
How, the massacre.
Right.
And Lawrence triggers her.
Right.
And she think
think
of it as like jumper cables.
Yep.
He has just bootstrapped consciousness. She hasn't been rewritten. Right. She hasn't been upgraded. They don't know there's a huge problem yet. Like this is the mega, the 30 years ago mega problem.
That's right.
Right.
Yep.
And that's what we're remembering.
She says this. Lawrence goes, "It's always the weird ones who are interesting or something. Maybe you guys can be of some help." And
he changes. She changes and Yep. So she levels up. It seems to me like she levels up.
Yep.
And then doesn't... Oh, and you know what he says? Oh, what does Lawrence do then? To Dolores. Do you remember?
He says she's weird.
Yeah, but then what does he give her?
Oh, he gives her a hat.
What color?
It's a brown hat.
It looked great to me, but I was like,
he goes, "You're going to need a change of clothes for where you're going," or something like that, and calls over his slave girl, and she
levels up to black hat position. I was looking at the other black hats in that scene, and they're mostly gray or green. So she's in kind of gray hat position, but we could call her black hat. Sorrow levels up to black hat.
That's right.
She gets an upgrade. She gets a fucking gun.
Yep.
Something changed in that scene.
But and then her and William have a conversation a little bit later. I'm jumping ahead a little bit.
Yep. No, the next one is the glycerin. They have to go get the glycerin.
That's right.
Prove yourself.
That's right.
And then so he gives her the hat. Where you're going, you're going to need this. And she gets her costume changed.
That's right.
So she's wearing pants and a shooter belt, and she's got a little handkerchief.
She puts the gun in her pocket, and someone says "Oh, you
can't use that or something."
And she goes, "I've done it before," or something along those lines, right?
And she's like, "I don't." What the fuck did she say? It doesn't. I don't have it written down. But she gets
Tana,
the fucking
you didn't
gun.
write it down.
And she was like, well, I'm not going to use it. I don't plan on using it. Something like that. She'll take it, but she's not going to use it.
Well, they go and her and William are like, we're not going to hurt anyone. We're just going to steal the goods and let them go. Yep. They're Union soldiers like my dad was.
We know that. Well, we don't know. So they get there.
Yep.
Right? And William and Dolores are trying to play by the rules.
That's right.
And they play by the rules. They get the glycerin. Nobody dies. Everything's going fine.
And then Logan has to be a freaking
until fuckhead
bag.
Comes along. Yep. Cheers.
Cheers to the woman in the white shoes.
To the woman in the white shoes. This is going to be our new cheers. I like this. To the woman in the white shoes. To the woman in the white shoes.
To the woman in the white shoes. Logan gets the fuck off. He says, "Call me half-wit. Call me half-wit one more time." He goes, "This is for being a dick. This is for
saying this to me.
This is for half-wit." And then they get into a fight and they end up killing everyone. And
Dolores is horrified.
Dolores is horrified because William shoots 3 unarmed people.
Yep.
Right? But Logan is like, "Woo! Yeah, man! That was the shit." He's like, "We leveled up." But this is the time
what happened
when
there?
we first...
What big character developed there?
William
Do you remember?
did.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And why? What happened?
He shoots 3 people
His
and one
first
of them...
kill.
That's right.
And why does he kill them?
Self-defense to save Dolores.
He is protecting Dolores. Yeah. He's Teddy. He's protecting Dolores.
Yeah.
She's in mortal danger, and so he fucking kills someone.
Yep.
And that unlocks him. Yep. And now he's killed guys.
And what's interesting about that, too, is how it plays with what we see coming up next, which is Dolores save him.
Yes.
It also is the first time we see a human getting hurt, legit hurt. Logan gets punched, slapped, and is being choked up against the wheel.
Yes. Now, do we think that they would have gone... They couldn't have killed him?
I don't think they could have killed him.
But they were really hurting him.
They were really hurting him, yeah.
And so... Yeah, and the understanding is that the further outside the park you get, and Paraiah is very outside the park, it's going to get more real. Right. And so he is actually getting his ass kicked. And one of the haunting scenes is when he's getting his ass kicked, and William is has a chance to save him.
Logan is like, "Help me," and William's just like, "No." And just walks away with Dolores.
Logan sees this. He's between being punched in the face, between one punch and the second. And he's got spit bubbles on his lips. And the camera's super tight to his face. And Logan smiles. he fucking looks at William abandoning him and he smiles about it.
Yep.
And I'm just like, this is awesome. Everything about this show is awesome.
Yeah, they make so right before that part, William and Dolores are talking, and William's like, you know, people come here to find themselves in the real world, blah blah blah. Everything is different. You know, I think
that's at the sex party. This is earlier inside at that big, like, everyone's painted gold and having mega orgies.
And he's having this huge, basically pivotal conversation about choosing your own path and changing your path. You come here to find yourself, to change, to be someone else. And then the whole nitroglycerin, finding out it's tequila, double crossing happens. And the Confederales or the Confederates or whatever they call themselves.
Confederales is a good name, I thought.
The Confederales start beating up Logan, and they then go after
William and Dolores.
And William is getting himself beat up, and then Dolores, out of nowhere, pow, 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 like 4 or 5 guys.
And is just like a machine about it.
Just clearly, pow, 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 done. And William,
you don't see it. Are we close on William's face at the time?
We're close on William's back.
We're close on her.
We're close on her, and then we're close on the guy who's beating up William's back.
Right.
And we see the blood come out of his back. And then
he kind of explodes, and everyone around him explodes.
Right. And then William says something to her like, "Where did that come from?" or what are you doing? Or something. And Dolores goes, "I'm changing my path." Or
I imagined a story
where I wasn't the damsel.
Yes. Oh, I imagined a story where it didn't have to be the damsel.
Yeah.
It's so good. And I feel like the thing that unlocked her in watching that scene, there are, you know, a bunch of drunk idiots are throwing around the nitroglycerin, and then it falls. And earlier, just before this, Logan got into the fight with William inside the club. And Logan says, "Why do you think I brought you here?
Yeah.
Do you think that I like you?
Yeah.
You came in executive vice president. Great
EVP.
for you."
Yeah.
Those 3 little letters. You know, you came sniveling into my office and you thanked me.
Yeah.
That was the best day of your life. And William gets mad and like slams Logan against the wall and then like catches himself. Right? And he's like, "I brought you here, bro, because you were the least threatening person.
Yeah.
You're
That's
nobody.
Why my sister picked you too."
Nobody gives a fuck about you, right? Like, you can't harm anybody. You're nothing. And he kind of breaks. And so as Dolores is having her tarot card reading disappearing act,
peeling the skin out.
And she's freaking out and finding herself, William is also finding himself. He's discovering these hidden depths of like rage and outrage that he didn't know was there, that we didn't know was there, that Logan thinks is so funny. And so like this place is revealing their true self, Logan being a smug, sneering, lecherous brat.
Yep.
Dolores following her path through the maze, and William, this like frustrated, grateful threat to nobody that becomes the man in black.
That's right.
And so he recognizes that, right? Like, William recognizes that. He says to her at some point after the nitroglycerin breaks, and then everyone starts freaking out, or maybe right before that, he was saying, you know, that's what this place is. It creates a sense of urgency and a problem, like a thing that we need to solve right away. Right. So it'll reveal this like animal nature, this inner animal nature. And I don't like it, is like what he's saying to Dolores. And Dolores is like, "Brother, I'm right there with you. Yeah. Like, I'm having the same thing. Like, it's happening to me too. Let's, you know, we got to get out of here," or whatever. And then they get attacked, right? They're trying to get away. And the Confederales are there, and he starts getting beat up, and he screams to Dolores,
"Run.
Run."
He says, "Dolores, run."
And she fucking freezes. And her whole face, this actress, she's so good, whole face changes. And then blam, 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 blam. And she saves William like he's the fucking damsel in distress.
That's right.
And he was like, "What happened?"
"I imagined a story where I was not the damsel."
Oh.
Oh my
and
God.
Then it's so good. It's so good. They're on the train with Lawrence.
Oh yeah. So she says, quick! They hear the train horn. They go, the train, quick! That's our fastest way out of here. They run. They get on the train, and it's coffins stacked up in Lawrence, and Lawrence is holding a gun. Yep. And Dolores pulls out her gun. William pulls out his gun. And they're having a little Mexican standoff.
Yeah.
And Dolores just slowly moves her gun down to Slim's coffin.
Yes.
And he goes, "Whoa, now."
Yep. And he's
blow that up. We all go up in tinder.
We all die.
Yep.
And and so this is.
William says, like, "Give me your gun," and Lawrence says, "Why?" And William says, "Because I don't trust you." And Lawrence goes, "Well, good. That's the first step in being friends," or something like that. You know? Oh,
it's so good.
And then you see William and Lawrence sit down at the front, and they're sharing a drink. And this is really the first time I think they become buddies or something like that.
So let's list original robots, right? So Lawrence, Dolores,
Teddy.
Do we know that Teddy? I mean, we assume he is, but we haven't seen him in the older timeline yet.
That's.
So I don't know, but I would think Teddy, but I don't know for sure. And then what about Slim? Is Slim the guy that was drinking milk in the opening issue?
Oh, is that Slim?
Because you remember when he glitches out, he only kills the guys that had killed him in previous stories, and he lets the others go.
That's right.
Is that the same guy that's Slim?
I think that's a good point.
All right, so we got Slim as an OG. Yeah. Lawrence. Dolores. Maybe Teddy, but we're not sure.
Teddy, we're
Probably
not sure.
Maeve, but we're not sure.
Yep.
Wait, do we see Maeve with William and Logan? Anyway, so we've got.
I don't remember. I think we do.
Okay, I think it's a safe bet, but I just want to try to cover them. I also want to say in the early ones, I've been keeping an eye on this because I'm having such a fun time watching it. When they go to the nitroglycerin caravan and they leave their 3 horses, it's a far shot. You see the whole gully and the road is coming up and the caravan's coming. They have their horses parked. The horses don't move.
Yeah, right.
And it's and it's such an early version, right? That later when Abernathy in the very first episode, they're letting the cattle come in. They look mechanical, but they're not running in unison.
Right.
And the horses on the caravan, pulling the caravan, are walking in unison like little robots.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if the show's doing this on purpose or if I'm scratching too deeply, but you park your horse and it just stands still.
Right.
And then the horses are running in and they're doing the exact same movements. And it just seems very mechanical in the same way that the early bartender guy was very mechanical. And I just love it. Makes it more real. It makes me think it isn't a bunch of humans playing these guys.
Right.
It's actual robots, right? They're doing this stuff that makes
so good at slight little movements of their head, being very mechanical and movements instead of
the double
very
blink.
Natural flowing.
Yes,
it's really excellent.
It's so good.
Before we end though, there's one more nugget I want to leave our audience with.
Is it Closet Case Becky? Because we still have to talk about that scene.
It is about Closet Case Becky. And really, I don't want to dig too deep on this, because I don't remember if we reveal it or not in this storyline. In fact, I honestly don't think we do. I think this is kind of like one of those side puzzles that we're gonna have to figure out as season 2 heads up, and it's basically Closet Case Becky blackmails her way into getting with the robot that almost killed her, that they chopped off his head and are bringing to the incinerator soon. By blackmailing a butcher who is having sexual relations with what does she call him? She calls him a necroperv.
Necroperv,
yeah. But I think the best thing she says is, it's a common misconception with you guys down here in the chop shop that even when they're down underground that the hosts don't log their sexual encounters. Misconception.
Yes, common misconception. And shows him a video of himself fucking an unconscious robot in a storage closet.
Oh, and her little quips are good too.
She's good, man.
I
love this character.
He brings her to that body.
Yeah.
And he says, you got 5 minutes. Then we're incinerating him. I really can't
do this. I'll lose my job. Okay, you can just have 5 minutes.
And she goes, "Huh, funny. You took a lot longer than 5 minutes.
You took a little longer than 5 minutes."
But okay, so she's investigating this body, and she finds something peculiar that starts off. We're not sure what it is.
I thought it was going to be a bomb, right? Like I thought it was going to be like, and then she blows up,
and she pulls it, kind of like what we saw Dolores do,
with Dolores' arm.
Which kind of hurt me.
It was so. Props to the special effects department. Yes. That was super nightmare-y and gross.
Really crazy.
Like pulling floss out of your wrist.
She finds this like device, and his whole arm is lighting up.
Yep,
it's kind
little
of
red
blinking,
dots all the way up to the elbow.
We think it's fiber based on the way it's shot. At least I did, because I'm an engineer. I automatically assumed.
I totally thought that too.
Yeah,
Dave.
I'm like, oh man, fiber optics.
Obviously,
in his body. Okay, cool.
Fiber optics is
and then
where I went
she shows
with
up
that.
at Bernard's desk with a device.
Yeah.
Drops it on his desk and says, "This was inside the host that tried to kill me." And Bernard goes, "Inside the host? This was inside the host?" Like confused.
Yeah.
And she goes, "I think someone's using the host to smuggle data out of the park."
It's a laser-based satellite uplink.
Yep. He wasn't drawing Orion.
Yes,
he was
you were right.
drawing a target. You were right.
He wasn't drawing Orion. Orion has 3 stars. Someone has been using a host to smuggle data out of the park. Boom.
Boom.
They give us a mystery.
I
have no idea if we solve this.
I honestly don't either. I completely forgot. I completely forgot about this in general.
I thought I didn't remember. I thought it was going to be a bomb. I definitely thought fiber optics, for sure.
Yes, of course you did.
That was where I went with that. Oh my God, best episode so far. Ford and Dolores.
Every episode is
Ford and Man in Black. William and Dolores. Dolores freaking out and losing her mind. Teddy coming back to life with a few pints of Lawrence.
Yeah.
the
do you have a little Mexican in you? Would you like some?
Want some? Oh, it's so good. And then our literary Contrapasso. Unaccountable, the thing from Dante's Inferno. He was the first one to use it.
What just an amazing show.
Oh, it's
we can't stop saying it enough.
There's so much to love here.
Yeah.
And it's so well done. And so, and I was thinking, Lawrence
Clearly,
just died, and now Lawrence is alive here. They're telegraphing that it's not the same timeline.
Right. Yeah, but
no.
But they're not.
You're not, because if I'm watching this for the first time through.
We've already learned that they can grab them, turn them back, and put them back in the park
and
before families arrive.
And so here I am thinking, okay, this is when the show wants me to know this information. Nope. They want to keep me muddled. A good cocktail. They want to keep me muddled through and through.
It's very obvious that HBO gave this show the budget that they needed right off the bat. Unlike Game of Thrones, where it started out low budget, and then it was just everyone was just holy crap, we need to throw all the money we have at this production.
Battle of the Blackwater happened off camera.
Yeah, right, exactly. Right. They just
Tyrion wakes up at some point and it's over.
Yeah, right, exactly. So, I mean, but yeah, I think HBO is going in the right direction, and I am super stoked.
I am here for this show. It's gorgeous. It's creepy.
Season 2.
I don't do horror.
We need to finish before season 2 starts.
We will. We will.
I think it's coming up.
We got it.
Quick.
So a little programming note.
Yeah.
As you know, I draw comic books for a living.
What?
And I have back-to-back comic book conventions. If you fine listeners, are in the Chicago area, I'm going to be at C2E2 this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
What does that stand for?
Comics, Convention, and Entertainment Expo. Yeah, so C2E2. Yeah, I was going to say Emporium. Wada. Gotta go. So you can come and see me in real life.
Come on down to Crazy Ray's Car Emporium. Sunday. Come get your crazy deals. Nothing's too crazy. I'm a crazy Russian. I'll sell you everything for half off.
I love that you know where my addled mind was headed with that. Yes. So I'm in Chicago this weekend. I was in Washington, D.C. last weekend. I got to give a shout out to Awesome Con. Awesome Con was amazing.
Oh, it wasn't awesome?
It was. Well, the annoying thing was they kept saying, "Hey, awesome fans!" Like every time they made an announcement, it was always awesome something and awesome something, which is cute. But after 30 times, it's too much. But the convention itself was amazing.
Yeah.
It was my first comic book convention in Washington, D.C., and it was incredible. I had so much fun, Dave.
Good.
And so it's a little exhausting doing back-to-back comic book conventions. But if you're in the Chicago area, come out and see me this weekend. I don't know what the dates are. early April.
This weekend is April 6th.
If you're listening
through
to this.
the 9th. The 9th is the Monday.
Any year but 2018.
Yes, this is
well over.
Yeah, sorry. We're sorry, future you. You missed past Tana.
But we've got, lots of comic book stuff happening. But besides that, once I'm back from C2E2, schedule's wide open. We're going to chew through the rest of these episodes. And we're going to get to that. We're going to get to, A, remember what happens in the rest of the season, and B, we're going to be here for the premiere.
That's right. We're going to be here for the premiere,
so it's
ladies
just
and gentlemen.
Everyone gets so... They
you
get
can join
better.
us, too, as we continue on our journey and as this Westeros... Westworld. That's what a little bourbon does to me, right? Go back to the roots. Yeah. Westworld spin-off.
Yeah, we're spinning ourselves off.
Rewatch of season 1.
And if any of you guys, any of you listeners out there want to shoot us an email, we love getting them. I want to hear your theories. Yes. I want to know what you think about all of the stuff that we've touched on.
Who's the woman in the white shoes?
Who's
God
the
damn
woman
it.
Somebody answer that for us,
Someone
please.
answer that. You can email us at westeroswheneverly@gmail.com. I know I'm not making a new email for our spinoff, but shoot me.
Yeah,
okay?
and I'm at Tana Ford on the Twitters.
And I'm at WarryW4RRI, and you can find us both there. We'll respond much faster to Twitter because we're just lame ducks at email. But anyway, thanks for listening, and we'll see you wheneverly.
All men must follow the woman in the white shoes.
Cheers to the woman in the white shoes. Good night, everyone.